It was anything but a happy birthday for Donald J. Trump. The past 24 hours have been pretty turbulent and challenging. At about 2 in the afternoon, Donald Trump arrived at the scene and then turned himself in at the federal court. And the session commenced and the former American president pleaded not guilty to all 37 charges. The hearing, in fact, went on for over 47 minutes, and for most of it, Donald Trump sat with his arms crossed and with his face looking pretty sullen. Now, this, remember, is the second court appearance this year for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is the first ever president, current or former, to be hit with a federal criminal indictment. So this, in many ways, was a historic day at Miami. On the opposite side of the room sat the entire prosecution team, including the special counsel Jack Smith. He denounced the indictment last week, from sensitive documents being stored in the shower to disclosing classified information to friends. Donald Trump has been indicted in a total of 37 charges this time round. The former American Attorney General William Barr claims that even if half of it is true, then Donald Trump could easily land behind bars. The story started when Donald Trump left the White House in 2021 when he boarded the helicopter for that one last time. He didn't just leave after putting up a fight, he also left with some top secret documents. Now, Donald Trump, in fact, took these documents to his Mar-a-Lago club residence in Florida and then, over the next few months, lied to the officials who sought to recover these documents. The full access to these documents is not available, but it's being said that they contain details about defense and weapons capabilities of both the United States and also of the foreign nations. The documents also go into the specifics of the country's nuclear programs, and it includes a response strategy to a possible foreign attack. Now, given the sensitivity of the data, the release of these papers can easily put Washington in a pretty vulnerable position. And after the courthouse session concluded, Donald Trump was allowed to leave without any conditions, but he will not be allowed to discuss the case with Walt Nauta, who is the co-defendant and also a close aide of Donald Trump. Nauta has been charged with 6 criminal counts in this case. Now, right after his departure from Miami, Trump flew to New Jersey in his private plane where he addressed a rally of his supporters. And Trump categorically has said that he has got every right to keep those documents. And apart from his usual jab at the Joe Biden governor's speech was captivating for a different reason. His rhetoric had an uncanny resemblance to his speeches prior to the Capitol riots. Listen.
They're destroying our country. And when I'm reelected, and we will get reelected, we have no choice. We're not going to have a country anymore. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They want you silent. And I am the only one that can save this nation because you know they're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving. On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country, and we will make America great again.
Now, remember, Donald Trump is, of course, a candidate for the 2024 presidential race, so he will be fighting his legal battles while also fighting the campaign. His supporters are already on a pretty aggressive offensive.
This is the first day he started as president. They haven't let him do anything. You know, he does his best. And what we have now is a stolen election. That's what happened. They stole it.
What is happening now, it's very unfair. I'm here for liberty, for justice, fairness, you know, because what's happening to him, it's very unfair.
Well, the legal fiasco might not be hurting Donald Trump's religious base. It certainly is hurting the Republican Party. Divisions within the Red Party are becoming pretty stark and clear. Remember, even with 17 months to go, the Republican race has already gotten pretty crowded, and nominees such as Ron DeSantis and Mike Pence are openly speaking against Trump. Now, these serious allegations have put the Red Party into a pretty tricky situation. Now, these are people who want to distinguish themselves from Trump while not alienating his supporters. All right, now to help us try and understand as to what these legal challenges, of course, mean for Donald Trump, and can Trump, of course, overcome them and continue with his campaign trail, we're being joined by Mr. Glenn Kirshner, who's a former federal prosecutor. He's also currently, he teaches criminal justice at George Washington University and works as a legal analyst for NBC News. Mr. Kirshner, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, the question that I want to ask you is this: 37 charges. Donald Trump has become the first ever current or former president of the United States of America to be hit with federal criminal charges. What does this mean for Donald Trump?
You know, after reading the indictment, which was more than 40 pages in length, it's what we call a speaking indictment, which laid out much of the evidence that the special counsel and his team assembled against Donald Trump. The indictment does not bode well for Donald Trump's prospect of winning an acquittal, a not guilty verdict at trial. You know, the evidence is so clear, so compelling, and importantly, much of the evidence comes not from Donald Trump's perceived enemies or political rivals. The evidence comes from Donald Trump's own lawyers and former lawyers, and Donald Trump's own employees, and audio recordings of Donald Trump's own voice admitting to some of the crimes. Indeed, he was captured on audio tape committing some of the crimes, disclosing classified documents and national defense information to people who had no right to see it or to hear about it. So, you know, I prosecuted cases for 30 years here in the United States. Rarely did I have evidence that was quite as compelling and directly incriminating as the evidence I see Jack Smith laying out in that indictment.
All right, now, Mr. Kirshner, for people watching this from outside of the United States, what they would want to know is these indictments and these charges that are being leveled against Donald Trump, will it derail his political campaign for the presidential elections of 2024, or will these charges have no impact on his political campaigning? Because what happened is that from the courtroom, he in fact hit the campaign trail straight away.
So, you know, people will say that charging Donald Trump will only make him stronger politically. The people who have supported him all along will continue to support him. They will continue to donate their hard-earned dollars to him. But what I say as a former career prosecutor is it really doesn't matter the consequences of charging somebody for the crimes they committed. If it makes them politically stronger, that is no business of a prosecutor. A prosecutor has to look at the evidence and the law.
You know, that was not the question. The question I want to ask you is, legally speaking, do these charges and do these court cases, can they make Donald Trump ineligible to run for the top job in the United States?
No, unfortunately, the rules and the law and the Constitution here do not provide that if somebody is criminally indicted, that they are disqualified for running for president. Even if they are convicted, that doesn't necessarily disqualify them from holding federal office. Of course, it makes it very difficult and impractical, but it doesn't make it unlawful.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Glenn Kirshner, for joining us and getting us all those details there.
Thank you.